In the olden days on the first records, I reckon I used to send Oscar mix notes that would run, like multiple pages of 1027, this sound, all these different things, and just a tiny bit, and I have really tried to not be like that anymore. And
he's getting better as an engineer.
Maybe, and Tim's getting better as a client. So.
Hey, I'm Tim Carroll.
I'm Oscar Dawson. We are Holy Holy.
And we're here at Happy talking about our 5th studio album, Cellophane.
We've always done a thing, I suppose, with each record where as we're sort of touring an album, we're starting to write songs for the next one, and it kind of just sort of flows from there. Some things aren't deliberate when we're writing. Other things, though, I think are a little more planned, and I think on this record we wanted to have a door open policy to collaborators, not just in terms of feature collaborators, as in, vocalists, but also in production of the record as well. But the collaboration in production thing is great because sometimes I can feel like a control freak and that's kind of crushing. And so it's nice to sometimes just take a bit of the pressure off and say, hey, wonder what Jack McLean from Sumner, who's a production collaborator, or Jack Glass from Bag Raiders, and wonder what those guys can do. And it was great to hear the different perspective.
Sometimes we don't know how it's going to be perceived. And I remember when we wrote our second album, we thought that we were like, oh, it's so different, people are going to change, and then some people hear it and they go, oh yeah, it sounds the same. So in some ways, I mean, we try and cast aside those ideas of oh, is this a different sound, or even are people going to like it, and more make the guiding principle is it moving to us, is it compelling, is it exciting, is it interesting? We would sort of follow the lead of each song and allow it to be what it wanted to be, and just, as long as it was compelling to us, then we were happy, kind of thing.
Nice.
I don't always think that an album has to be fully cohesive, and I think about an album like Abbey Road, which is from the Beatles. It's actually a pretty disparate album, but it sounds cohesive to me because I'm used to it. So I guess I'm not comparing us to the Beatles, but one of the cohesive elements is Tim's voice. Another cohesive element is just, I mix all the records myself, so there's the mix process. But as Tim was saying before, we've got to follow our hearts, and if a song takes us down a certain route, we're not going to pull ourselves back just because we're oh, this is sounding too different from that other song or that other song. And on that, so with segues between tracks, that's something we've made a lot of effort over the years to do, because I've always loved that on an album. So, we have a song, then a coda, at the end of the song. And so we love doing that, and they work really well with our live show as well. Gives us some more kind of room to move, I suppose.
At the very beginning of this project, we used to write songs in that way that was more like a demo, and you'd sort of mock up a demo, and then it was almost like when it was time to make the record, you'd be starting again. I can't remember exactly at what stage, but we've completely bailed on that now, and so we're basically kind of always creating the record from the start. Which is to say that the mixes sort of come slowly into existence alongside the writing to some degree. But this time we had a bit going on. I can't remember exactly what it was. I think we were touring while deadlines, because also the other thing that plays into it is vinyl production timelines now are pushing everything back.
Epic, yeah.
And so usually our mix process would be longer, which is important, but this time it was they had to go. I mean, I think we're at a stage now where, we're able to live with that more. When we did Hello My Beautiful World, our album before this one, we came up with let's do listening parties. We'd sort of heard of these listening parties that people do. And so we wanted to do it for that, but then COVID happened, the borders shut.
Yeah.
But yeah, for this we decided we wanted to do these listening parties, and talking over the phone and chatting with our team, we ended up deciding on this format where we're in these venues of about sort of 200 to 400 cap. It's just the two of us on stage. I've got an acoustic guitar, Oscar's got an electric, 2 microphones, so very stripped back. And we're performing some songs off Cellophane, but also some songs that we know are important to people from the back catalogue. Talking about the making of the album. And we're also doing Q&As with the audience so people can ask anything, and people seem to like it. And sometimes, you write a song and there's all kinds of stories about how it came to be, all these kind of different musical influences, and then there's also lyric and characters within the story and memories and all these things, and you can assume that people get it all or understand it, and maybe they do, but having the chance to actually have those conversations, and then when people go home and put the record on, we kind of hope that every time they play Cellophane now, they'll think, that about the time that we were together, on release week, and it sort of beds the album down with people, and we have that connection forevermore kind of thing.
I love that.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for listening to the album.
And thanks for thoughtful questions.
Yeah.
It's awesome, man.
You guys should have danced in the video clip. In the choreography.
Oh my god, well, he's quite a good dancer.
I did a bit of dancing.
He did a bit, like in the actual choreography stuff.
the
Mate,
choreography.
I'm
Yeah.
so bad at dancing.